Welcome to the walkthrough video for Black Lotus Toolkit, a really beautiful music production toolkit, very unique, something that I don't think you've seen out there before. Black Lotus Toolkit has been inspired by the work of Christabel Tapia de Veer on the series White Lotus. The simple idea of taking something that is authentic or sort of a traditional instrument or traditional sound and morphing it and using it to express something different, something modern, something new, and that is the core essence and the nature of Black Lotus. It's taking these traditional instruments that we find here in South Africa and recording them beautifully as best as we can and creating a space where we can manipulate them and turn them into something that's unheard, something we haven't seen before. So I'm going to do a quick run through. There's a collection of 8 instruments as part of this toolkit, and I'm going to walk you through more the interfaces than the specifics of each one. So let's start with the Dundun. This is the main flagship percussion instrument that's part of Black Lotus. It's a collection of 5 drums, Dundun drums, they're called Dunduns. And the collection of 5 of them, and we've got 3 articulations for each drum. So we've got hand, mallets, and sticks. And we can manipulate each of them individually and or collectively. So right now they are linked with link kits. You can unlink them, and now each drum can be manipulated independently. You can change the volume or the pitch, panning, and then the effects for that individual instrument. And you can also then just reset the entire instrument or just that single instrument as well. That's the basic nature of this instrument. Collective effects or single effects. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the interface because all the instruments have pretty much the same interface, and then we can go into this specifics of the different instruments. I start at the top right here. There's a little menu item. Here you can save a preset. It saves all the effects and all the different settings you've got as a preset, and then you can also obviously load that preset in at the same time. You can reset the instrument back to its default. In this case, you can reset a single articulation back to its original. So you want to change just that instrument, you can click that button and it's set back to its original factory default. Or collectively, you can do the entire instrument back to factory default there. We've got link kits, which we've chatted about just now. That just links all of these kits together so that any changes you make on one will be made to all. Also, just a note, what you can also do, if you hold shift and you click, you can then link different kits or different instruments together, and then you can change the volume and different settings as you please with that. So that's a very useful tool. We've got select by MIDI that allows you to select the articulation or the tile by MIDI, depending on the note you play. This has to do with the playback speed of the grooves, which we'll get to in a second. Here at the bottom, we've got your all your effects. So we've got a stereo widening. We've got a tack, which is based off the transient master tool. Got compression. And a bit of dirt or saturation, distortion. The EQ, very simple interface of the EQ, but quite complex in the back end, pulling, subtracting bass, and then pushing the higher ends, a low pass filter, and they're just adding and subtracting bass and tops. Bow wow, which is almost like a phaser. And this one, if you pull it right back to 0, it turns it off. And then lo-fi. We've got sort of a lighter lo-fi here, and something a bit harsher and darker. And then your reverbs, or reverb and delay, should I say, these are sends. We'll just send reverb and delay. Just a note on this, sends are instrument specific, so in this case I can add reverb to that tile, but to that tile, over here, to take the delay off. This way I can create these very cool sort of bigger spaces in the drums, and have this one come a bit closer, you know. So we can create these different spaces within the same instrument. So the sends are instrument specific or tile specific. They change with that. The overall effects are global. So there's one reverb and one delay for the entire instrument. And here you've got menus for the reverb. You can select that, whatever you want, small or medium, large, or sort of a more creative style of reverb. This reverb is based on the Raum reverb in Contact. So it's very, very cool, very powerful reverb. The delay here is the replica delay. We've got all the settings from the replica delay in here. Very cool delay, one of my favorites that they have. And then you've got your mic settings. So all our instruments have been recorded with 3 mic positions. We've got a close mic and a stereo pair, and then a deca tree in the room, so we can get a little bit more room feel. So let's have a look at what that sounds like. Sorry, let's turn the reverb off here. So this is close. Stereo. And then we can blend those nicely as well. You can maybe get close with, add some bloom there, bit of stereo. So that's how it works. The mix button, as you can see, just mixes between those, sort of close to far. Very sort of common approach there. So those are our effects, and those are standard across all instruments. We've also got a CC1 dynamics. This is attached to the mod wheel. This is not just standard loudness. This actually is a velocity curve, so it affects the velocity of the playback velocity. It will actually adjust the velocity. So you don't just get a loudness change, you actually get a velocity change, which is really nice when you add it to the grooves, which we'll do in a second. So we've got the main page, and then we've got the grooves page. Also a very common interface here in Contact, and we can have a selection of, these are the grooves we've got here. And then on the left, we've got 3 filtering options. So you can filter the grooves based on the tags you see here, and then filter them down to whatever these grooves are. Just a note here is that load with sound preset is a button that is either on or off. You can load the groove with a sound preset that we've created. So each groove we've got here has been created with a sound preset. And you'll see the presets changing. You can turn that off and then load these grooves without the preset sound. So that's something to be noted. And we've got a play button here, so you can play back the MIDI groove. And then at the same time, you can drag the groove into your DAW, and it will load that groove, and then you can manipulate it and play with it and do whatever you need to do there. Other settings on the groove page here, we have a reset button, so that just resets the filters back to your standard look, feel. Like that, and then you can navigate forwards and backwards on these grooves as you like. We've also included a star button so you can, like the grooves or star the grooves and then filter those ones as well. So you can always keep your favorite grooves close at hand if you like. And then back to the speed buttons here. That's just playing back at half speed or normal speed or then double speed. And then the last thing we haven't spoken about here is the randomizer over here. So if we have a groove here, we've selected, we can then click this randomizer and it will just randomly go through all the settings, changing them. And it's a great way to find some new sounds, something you can use later on. This is a fun one. And this is the same groove, different settings. We've also got to undo, so we can go back to the one we really liked. Or go forward, and then keep randomizing, and keep selecting. So that's a super fun tool. And then again, we can reset the instrument back to default. Or load it up with that preset again. So super powerful tool. And a great way to get ideas super quickly. Just a note again on the dynamics here. I'm just going to play and just show you what the dynamics are doing. So that's now playing the samples back at a lower velocity. About 50% is, recorded velocity, maybe you could say. So using the mod wheel, we can create this dynamism in the playing. It gives you a really real feel, an accented feel. So that's a really powerful feature that I'm very stoked we added. And yeah, that's the Dundun. It's a very powerful tool to create grooves. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how I would go ahead and create a groove with this. Let's just reset the instrument here. So now we have all sort of factory default settings. I'm going to unlink it. Generally, when we're creating grooves, we'll try find maybe a kick drum and a snare and a hi-hat sort of sound, and we'll try work like that. So let's try and do that. Let me just use this as my kick drum. I'm going to create a little bit of resonance. And then maybe I'll just pull off the reverb there. Okay, that's pretty cool. We'll add a little bit of bloom there. Let's center that. Okay, let's just start there. I'm going to use this guy as the snare. We'll just find a cool snare sound for that. Just smash it a bit. So that's kind of cool. We could smash it a little bit more maybe. Some lo-fi in there. So that's a starting point maybe. And let's create a bit of a hi-hat. So I'm going to put this guy in as a hi-hat. Kind of like doing this sort of stuff. Maybe something like that. I don't know. That's the sort of idea of creating a little bit of a kit. Maybe this one we can, this one here. Almost like timbales. So that's how I go about creating my little toolkit or my little beats kit. And with that, then I can create grooves, and then I'll save this as a preset as well. That's always a good thing to do, save that as a preset. So that's the essence of the Dunduns. That's the essence of all the other instruments. I'm going to go now through the different instruments and just give you a highlight of what they are and how they behave. All right, here we have the frame drum. Very similar to the Dunduns, except here we have 2 drums and 2 articulations. So mallets over here and sticks over here. Everything else is exactly the same as the Dunduns, so we won't go into those sort of details. The frame drums are a very different drum. As you know, they've got a very shallow drum and a very wide skin. Black Lotus toolkits are all about taking what is there and creating something that's unheard, something that we haven't had before. So they pitch very nicely up into the higher registers. And beautifully in the lower registers too. Very bold, deep sound that, you know. So we can come up with some very, very nice grooves with this. And again, using the dynamics. So frame drums, a super powerful tool for you to create these deep, vibrant drums and different ways of using them. We've always loved this about Black Lotus, is that one thing becomes another, becomes another, becomes another, and nothing is ever quite as it seems. Okay, here we have the sticks, and the sticks is inspired by Wood Kids' Run Boy Run. And we recorded the sticks for the Dunduns, and we realized that it's so close to the sound of Wood Kids' Run Boy Run that we were like, let's take this one step further. And we then recorded some metals. So we've got 5 sticks, wooden stick articulations, and then 5 metals. And we've combined it into this instrument specifically for sticks. And it's so much fun to play. And it's got so many different applications, both in cinematic and pop and wherever we go, we can find an application. So essentially it works the same as the Dunduns and the frame drums in that we've got these individual articulations that we can manipulate individually or collectively, depending on how we select them. But what's different about this one is that we've got these one-hit keys at F0 and G0. So when we strike them, it plays all the drums together at the same time. And we've got the scatter button here, which just scatters or humanizes the delivery of them, the starting notes. So if we put it to 0, they all play at the same time. That's a bit harsh and not so cool. We can bring this all the way to the end. Seems to fit nicely here at about 40%. We've got that going, and over here we can choose just sticks, so we can turn the sticks on and off, or the metals on and off. So this is just sticks. Or we can choose it to just metals. Or combine them. Oops, sorry. Or we can combine them. We've also got the velocity here, which just randomizes the velocities of them a little bit. Just adds, just brings out a little bit more of the humanness there too. Also, the mod wheel, again connected to CC1 Dynamics, is a velocity curve. So we've also got the grooves menu, whole bunch of grooves to choose from, and we can drag those grooves into our DAW. Very powerful tool, this, sticks. We love using sticks. Cinematic and in pop and in wherever we need a good stick sound, we can get it here. Okay, great. Moving on to the reed shaker. Reed shaker is quite a basic instrument. This specific shaker is actually just a bunch of reeds sewn together, filled with seeds and whatnot. And it's played by holding it in both hands, moving it side to side, and using your thumbs as sort of a percussion tool on the top of it in different rhythms. We've got 22 different rhythms here. We've also got a sync to beat, so you'll notice we'll just sync to the nearest eighth. We change the mic positions. Quite nice when you pull, just pushing the tops here, you're pulling the bass out. And dynamics. And we can play them at the same time too. So come up with a whole bunch of new rhythms there. We've also got a little bit of a rain stick down here at G3. And then we've got the one shots too. So you can create your own rhythms. Super great shaker. I love using this in my compositions. Okay, the bass marimba. We recorded the bass marimba because of its really beautiful sound. There aren't many bass marimbas out there, so we thought this would be a great addition to the Black Lotus toolkit. And it's got two articulations, mallets and sticks. The one difference here is that we've included a pitch shifter. So this is at 0 is the natural tuning. Or should I say the natural recorded octave. We can shift it up 2 octaves. And then shift it up 3 octaves. Again, the nature of Black Lotus is to be able to take something that we know and have and manipulate it into something that we haven't heard before. And again, we can reset that instrument to its default position very quickly there. Cool, that's the bass marimba. Okay, This is the bow, or also called uhadi. It's a very basic instrument, really. Calabash and a bow, the calabash at the end of a bow, and then strung with a gut string, or in this case, it was a steel wire string. And we've given you 20 odd loops here, performed loops, also synced to beat. And because this instrument is inherently, it's not necessarily tuned to anything, and it's non-melodic, essentially. It's more rhythmical with slight melody fluctuations. We've given you the option of being able to pitch it. So you can create some very cool rhythmical structures as you go. So you can have a lot of fun with this instrument. Great for adding a little bit of energy and vibrancy to your compositions. And then we've got individual articulations here. So let me just reset this instrument. You can create your own patterns and your own vibes as you go. Okay, the bamboo pipe. Very basic instrument. I think it's 3 or 4 notes or 5 notes, essentially performed in the same way as a panpipe. And in this case, we've just got short articulations. Very fun for adding some punchiness to your compositions. So it just adds a bit of spice on the top, bit of salt and pepper. Very nice instrument this, I love it. And finally, we have the reed pipe. Now, the reed pipe is quite special. It's a very different style of instrument because actually the reed pipe is just a single pipe with a sort of angled embouchure that you blow over. And the only notes you'll get out of it are from the harmonic spectrum. So it becomes a rhythmical instrument, and tonally, not much that you can do with it. But what we've done with this instrument is that we've sort of stretched it across the keyboard in places where we've thought that it is actually a lot of fun to play with. My favorite low-end notes here. Almost sounds like an organ or a pipe organ of sorts. Very sweet sort of sound. And the articulations here, we've got shorts, then long, which we play with dynamics. And then you've also got a vibrato. And then sort of short longs. And then we've got some trills. and tongues. A nice sort of earthy world type of sound. These articulations here are the flurry. I call it the flurry bass. And here you can put in these flurries that were performed and recorded as they are. So they're not really tonal in that sense. So there are these different flurries that you can assign to the different bays, and each flurry can have its own bay. So in this case here, you'll see the waveforms change. So those are the waveforms that we can then articulate and play. And then we can also choose where we want to play them. So you might want to if we play with the attack, we can make it a bit tighter. Or so that's quite a cool sound, quite an interesting sound there. And then each one of these samples has two settings. We've got your standard setting, which is over here. We'll just play the sample back time stretched. So it will be a bit slower on the low notes and a bit faster on the high notes. With Time Machine on, it just keeps that speed. So if the sample is 1 second long or 2 seconds long, it will be 2 seconds long across the whole keyboard, which is very useful for those sort of sweeping sounds and those modulating sounds that we hear. Then with it off, it will be sort of off-center a bit, which has its own cool vibe about it. With Time Machine on, we can also stretch the speed of the playback. So as you can see with that, we can really start manipulating the sample and start playing and getting a lot of good stuff out of it, you know. And we can also tune the sample to fit our composition a little bit better. So that's the reed pipe, very powerful tool in our toolbox and something that we get a lot of fun out of this instrument here, a lot of cool sounds that come out of this instrument. So that's the walkthrough video for Black Lotus Toolkit, a collection of really fun instruments to take your compositions to a completely different level, unexpected level maybe, and something unheard and quite unusual. I hope you enjoy it, and we're looking forward to hearing your compositions and hearing what you guys have to offer.